Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue today to do dividing polynomials. Today is a little bit easier because it's only dividing by a monomial and not a binomial, which was a little bit harder for us yesterday. But what we're going to do here is, just like we did yesterday, we're going to set this up just like a division problem. So the bottom number, or letter I should say, bottom expression goes on the outside, and then that top expression goes on the inside. So that should be, it's not a very good R, r squared plus 6r plus 5. Okay? You can divide it. And so what you want to do is you want to figure out how many times does this r go into r squared, or how can I make this r into r squared? Well, if I have 1 on the outside, how do I get 2 on the inside? Well, I got to put 1 more, or multiply by 1 more. Okay? So that means that r squared is going to go here, and if you subtract that, that crosses out. And now let's bring down the 6r. Okay? So now how many times does r go into 6r? Well, we already have r to the first and r to first, so all we're looking for is a number, okay? So how do you make 1 into 6? Well, you multiply it by 6, so that's plus 6 on top. And that's going to make that a 6r down here, and if you subtract that, it's going to cancel out. And so now bring down the plus 5. Well, r cannot go into 5 because there is no r on the 5. So that means that that needs to be put as our remainder. So the 5 goes to the top as 5 over r. 5 over r. Okay? So your final answer is going to be r plus 6, and that's a positive 5, so positive 5 over r. Okay? Just like that. And just real quick, let's kind of go over how we can check our answer. Alright, so basically we want to multiply our answer in red by that thing we're dividing by, which in this case is just r, and we want to see if we get our answer, which would be r squared plus 6r plus 5. Alright, so let's take that r and multiply it to our answer, which is r plus 6 plus 5 over r. And our goal is hopefully we get our little top answer right there, r squared plus 6r plus 5, and that's how we know we did it right. Okay, so distribute the r to everything. So r times r is r squared. R times 6 is plus 6r, and then r times 5 over r, well, 2 r's cancel out, and so that just gives you plus 5. We did it. We got to our final answer, so that's a check mark, and we can go ahead and move on to the next problem. Okay? Alright, next one is going to be 2 variables. Nothing really changes, but it is a little more complicated, a little more confusing, because we do need to figure out how many variables we need to put on the top of the division bar, and what number we also need to multiply by. Okay, so let's go to the next example. We're going to set this up the same way. So the 6 m squared n goes on the outside, then your division bar, and we got 18 m to the third n to the fourth minus 12 m to the second n to the third plus 24 n squared. Okay? Alright, so just start with that first term. How can we make 6 into 18? Well, we can multiply it by 3. So let's put a 3 first. And then, how can we make m squared into m to the third power? Okay, so how can we make m squared into m to the third power? Well, we have 2 out here. We need to get to 3, so that means all we need is 1 more on the top. Okay, and same thing with the n. How can we get n to the first turned into n to the fourth? Well, we have 1 out here. How do we get to 4? We need 3 more, so that's n to the third. Okay, so just to double check, 3 times 6 gives you 18. M squared times m to the first gives you m to the third, and n times n to the third gives you n to the fourth. Okay, so that's how you know we did it right, because these are going to cancel out. And so now you go over, and now you bring down the minus 12 m squared n to the third power. Okay, well, how do you turn 6 into negative 12? You got to multiply by negative 2. And then notice how we have m to the second and m to the second already. So that means that we don't need to multiply by an m or put an m on the top, because we already have our goal there. Okay, so we don't need to do anything there. But we do need to change the n. Okay, so we got an n to the first here, and we need to make it into an n to the third. So we have 1 here. We need to get to 3. So that is 2 more. So that is n to the second. Okay. So just to double check, 2 times negative, or I'm sorry, 6 times negative 2, that does gives you negative 12. We didn't do anything with the m, so that just stays m to the second. And into the just n to the first changes to n to the third because n times n to the second is n to the third. All right. And if we subtract that, that cancels out, gives us 0. And last step here, we're going to bring down the 24 n squared. Okay. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Okay. So I do know I need to multiply to make that a... You know what? Since we don't have any m's there, let's go ahead and just make that our remainder. And I think it'll be a little bit easier to reduce it than have to worry about what to put on the bottom of the fraction. So we're going to make this as plus 24 n squared over our original expression, which is 6m squared n. Okay? And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this over and we're going to reduce it. So let's reduce that, that remainder there. 24n squared over 6m to the second n. Okay? Well, the 6 and the 24 reduce to 4 on the top, 1 on the bottom. There's no m's to reduce, but the n's can reduce. You can cross out 1 on the bottom and cross out that as n to the first. So what you should have is 4n over m squared. Okay? So that's going to be what your reduced remainder is. Okay? So your final answer is going to be all that stuff on the top. So 3m n to the third minus 2n squared, and then with our remainder. So that's going to be plus 4n over m squared. Okay, so if you get down to that last term and nothing, and you notice how there's missing a variable, go ahead and make that your remainder, and then you can just reduce from there. All right. So here is both of the problems here in case you missed a step or two. All right. Make sure you guys do this worksheet, okay? Because I am collecting it by the end of the period, and I am going to be grading it in the grade book. So you can get an easy 100, or you can get a 50, or you can get a missing. All right. So that'll be the choice is up to you. All right. Have a good day.